to episode 9 of the Fairly Awesome Podcast. That's very exciting episode. That's the last single-digit episode. On a quick personal note, it's my youngest daughter's first birthday, so happy first birthday. You're now on the internet. Enjoy that when you're 18 and no one cares anyway.
I was going to say, I think Chris Hansen's about to step in on this.
No, it's cool.
It's cool. It's allowed?
No.
It's allowed?
I'm not sure where that was going, but I'm creeped out now.
No, you said you're on the internet.
No, not
that way.
Not the GoRam internet we talked about. That's a regular internet.
I gotcha.
Anyway, I am Chris Keene. Here with me is Ryan McDowell.
How you doing?
Bushing.
Hey.
Josh Bushing.
Yo!
Who we've determined through blood test a 50-50 chance they are actually related. We're still having that checked out. 50-50. So either you are or you're not.
I think we're the same person, but we're from parallel universes.
Right.
Yes. See, I'm the guy that was patient zero, kind of like Sliders. Yeah, it's like that guy. I released the plague.
I'm the guy behind the guy behind the guy.
Yes. The guy.
Oh, no, I'm like Maury Povich here, and the results just came in. And that was a lie.
No.
Alright, so again, anyway, episode 9, which episode 9 that reminds me of a 9 joke. Hey, why did everybody stay away from episode 7?
Because 7, 8, 9.
No, because it was shit. Nate. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway,
That would be my fault.
That's all Nate's fault. This is Nate. Nate inspired every single tangent from that episode.
I did.
Speaking of tangents, we'll tangent away from the entrance to the first topic. Second screen interactions on the next generation of consoles, which we'll throw to Ryan here, and he'll kind of explain what we're looking at here.
Yeah, well, okay, so people are starting to look at the next gen consoles and what's out there, reasons to switch over to next gen. Are there really any reasons out there? And one of the things I'm seeing is that the potential for second screen integration. I don't know. In the past, second screens have played almost zero part in games. You get like maybe a little handy utility that shows you your stats. That's not second screen.
Yeah.
That might as well have been a website.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But the Wii U has had some titles that do second screen because the controller has a second screen on it.
Yeah.
Now, from my understanding, even in the Wii U, there's only been a handful of projects that actually really utilize second screen as a second screen as opposed to just sort of an alternate screen.
Or showing, yeah, you're right. I mean, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker uses it as like an inventory system, so you can actually control the inventory as opposed to pausing the game and messing with the menu. But you can also use it as a screen to like switch between and alternate what's on the TV and what's on the actual screen.
And the PS4 is doing sort of the same thing with the PS Vita, where you can, it's not really second screen, it's alternate screen, right? Mm-hmm. But I have a feeling that we're going to see some second screen / maybe alternate play is what I'll say. Like, perhaps what we'll get is, I think we're going to start seeing this coming. They're not all there right now. But we could start seeing things like Assassin's Creed 4 has an interface for you to, yes, it has all of your stats and sort of mission stuff, and it shows you, you can do a map live while you're playing.
Right.
And that's pretty cool.
Oh, very nice.
And that is out right now. But the other thing is your...
is this via Smart Glass?
Yes.
Oh, it's via
This isn't Smart Glass. This is actually a separate
app.
It is. It is. Sorry, it is a
okay.
standalone.
Standalone. I got you.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yep, and it works on both Android and iOS.
Right.
On iOS, I believe it works on both the iPhone and the iPad. On Android, it is intended for their tablets, but you can.
I think there's a phone version now, but it's kind of limited phone release.
But you can get the tablet one to work on a phone as well.
I have a shrink down, I think.
Yeah, I have
dynamic resolution.
I have an S2 that it was when it was still intended for tablets. It's on my phone, so
Gotcha.
But like what they do with it is not just while you're playing, second screen, but let's say you're away, from you're in line somewhere, and instead of playing phone games, there's a mini game on the phone. that actually helped your career. And it's normally you had like your assassins where your initiates and recruits and whatnot, you'd send them off and they'd go level up.
Right.
You can do that system now. They're ship battles.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a game mechanic where you basically send you recruit a fleet of ships by capturing ships in the game, adding them to your fleet, and then you can send them out to different parts of the world to retrieve money, basically.
Oh.
So you have an inventory of things like
loot and booty.
you have an inventory of things like
cool.
sugar and rum and spices and things like that.
Metal, wood.
You have to have enough to send the ship out to make the delivery, but the ship makes the delivery, takes anywhere from an hour to I think 12 to 16 hours, and it is real time. So you send the ship out and the ship is gone for 12 hours.
Oh, wow.
And
So they actually changed it. It's no longer like, in the older Assassin's Creed games, you'd send your guys on missions and they'd be gone for like, I don't know,
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah, 15 or 20 minutes. But yeah, you send the ships out, and when they come back, you get whatever the reward was. So, 100 reals or, even 3,500 reals.
Far Cry 3.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Far Cry 3 had the same kind of concept where you had a standalone player that you would install,
And then a companion app.
Hell yeah, and you installed it, companion app on your phone or tablet or whatever. I had it on my phone, and you could. It wasn't people that you were sending out, but it was like you decoded things. Like you picked up these random things like flash drives or CD-ROMs or whatever, and each one had a various time constraint. But then you only had a couple, and then as you progressed, you could unlock multiple levels of how many you could run at one period of time.
Yeah.
And so we had, I think, one or two that you could run, back to back or whatever. And then when that one finished, you'd switch it with the new one.
Interesting. Well, Battlefield 4 also uses an app. What do they call it? The commander view, right?
Oh,
where they can
okay.
see the battlefield and they can sort of garrison units and they can send in
That's cool.
like airstrikes and things like that. So that's pretty cool stuff, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it. And I'm going to make the claim, and we're going to touch on some other subjects of next gen later in this podcast. But one of the things I think we're going to see isn't so much a huge step forward in graphics that we normally see at every iteration. And don't get me wrong, the graphics of the next generation games, the ones that are running it at 1080, they do look fantastic. But I don't think that's going to be the big, when you walk away from what's next gen, I don't think it's going to be graphics that you remember that this
Gameplay,
gen.
yeah.
It's going to be gameplay. It's integration really.
Yep.
Integration with, in this instance, and we'll get to it later, but in this instance, the second screen, the ability for smart glass. They started building it up with Xbox 360.
Yep.
But really, it was just you could send messages to your friends, you could check
Use it like a
achievements.
keyboard.
Right.
Without having
Yeah,
a
that
chat
was
pad,
nice.
which is kind of nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
You could use it as a remote as
Yeah.
well, that sort of thing.
I thought it's really cool that it's technology that we're finally getting developer buy-in in this kind of it's been around on the
There's
PC.
a market for it.
Well, yeah,
I
it was
think.
around on the PC in the early days. They had like an LCD screen or something down here, and like you said, it would just have stats or something like that. Like I have the G19 Logitech, and it's an LCD screen, and you can watch movies on it. Like who would really watch a movie? But it's designed for more stats. It's just an extra screen, so you can kind of remove
Basically,
some of
whatever
the-
you want down there.
Yeah,
The WoW Raider.
Yeah, the WoW Raider board is kind of what it was for. It's like, hey, I'm going to be raiding, so I might as well watch a movie down here. I got to watch some Star Trek Deep Space Nine while I'm raiding or something. I don't know.
Why would
But
you do that to yourself, though?
I don't know.
Deep Space Nine.
Are we going to have a Star Trek?
No,
thing?
we'll stay off.
Okay,
this
well,
topic.
okay. Well, we won't tangent that
We'll
one.
save that one.
Staunton would be going to war with you. But
So I do think that's what we're gonna start seeing is more of this, and it makes a lot of sense. Especially it can get you to buy in. Let's say you get this and they start incrementing or releasing more stuff for the companion app or smart glass integration with that app if they're not going to make a standalone. I can see a lot of people feeling that they're getting a lot of value for their money if they've got the game and they're playing some sort of game away from their system.
like the Division, where they had the iPad that you can control the drone that they were showing or whatever. That they
Right.
just come into their game and he's just using a drone to sight targets for him and
Right.
everything. That would be awesome. I'm
Yeah.
all for that. I like the.
That kind of stuff is really cool.
Yeah,
It has me excited. I think.
It's more like you said, an integration. It's like all these things exist. separately, but we're finally getting to that point where things are starting to join, and you have that coalescing, and it's.
And I think some of what you're seeing that is the push towards cloud gaming a little bit, which I think we've talked about before.
Yeah.
Because because a little bit resides in the cloud, it can continue running, and there are multiple ways to get to that data while you're not playing. Because the Assassin's Creed 4 app is a lot of fun to do the ship fights and to just log back into the game and have several 100,000 coins waiting for you to go spend.
Yeah, huge rewards, really.
Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't matter how long you play it. And like your only limiter is your ships become damaged, and so you have to have gems to repair the ship. So your only limit is when you run out of gems, you kind of have to go back into the game and either acquire them by salvaging ships or fighting battles in the mini game and winning them without getting your ship damaged more than the gems you get. But there was some stuff like this before. Mass Effect had a kind of a second game, it was like Infiltrator, I think. That one actually cost money. I think that one actually cost money, like $4 or $5 or something like that. But it did add to your whatever your war
Galactic.
Your
it was a Galactic Readiness.
Galactic Readiness. That's right. Yeah. So you could play that game outside, and it kind of impacted your inside game a little bit. But with that one because it actually cost money, and two because Galactic Readiness wasn't all that hard to get. Way up into the
well beyond
what you needed anyway. It wasn't that big of a deal, but I think it will be interesting to see where this goes to the point that you have this is the game you play, and then the side app has 2 or 3 games that either get you money or get you additional experience, or you can log in and watch somebody else play the game while you're away from your console. So I think that'll be really cool. I think that'll be a lot of fun to see exactly what everybody decides to come out with on that.
Do you think the like we've talked about second screens more in the kind of client server base, like we're talking more about like having an app that hooks into, or like you said, cloud. But do you think that we haven't really talked about the remote play stuff in this? Do you think the internet's at a place where we can run like stream from PS4 to Vita successfly over Wi-Fi, or I mean obviously
you mean
local Wi-Fi, but like internet wise? You think we're getting to a point where that's maybe the next step?
It might be, but with the Vita, it's a little bit better. With the Vita, it's a little bit better than say it would be with Smart Glass.
Yeah,
because you're just gonna have all touch, right? Versus a Vita, you actually still have sticks and
full control set.
Yeah, but maybe with Gamepad for iOS, and when they make one for Android, maybe that would make a lot more sense. That you could. You could stream it. I don't know that the bandwidth levels are really there for
AAA games.
Yeah, for that sort of fidelity, because that's a really high resolution.
Yeah.
And to get that onto a phone streaming.
Right. When you're straining the limits of the console, it's going to be even more straining the limits.
I think that's the hard part, is that Netflix works and it'll stream high fidelity type things like whatever your HD or whatever to, like, say, an HD iPad.
But you're not controlling it,
But
right?
exactly. The issue is they can buffer.
Well, they can.
You can't buffer a video.
Yeah,
they can
can't
buffer,
a
and
video
Netflix has the CDNs at a lot of the ISPs, so they kind of have all their data cached locally at the ISP.
I didn't know that.
And I was going to. That was one of my points. So that
I stole from you, but feel free to go ahead.
Kind of, yeah. I was going to say also that if the NSA would stop hoarding all of the data,
Is that
we might have some bandwidth kicked up.
that's what the problem is
The
that
tubes are clogged.
they're stealing
Yeah.
so much.
Yes.
They're stealing our bandwidth as well as our information.
Yes.
That could be.
Well, I mean, if it has to duplicate every single thing out there.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
I
it's
just
yeah, okay.
That being said,
yes.
to get back to
I know.
screens.
Back to
So
second screen.
the Wii U offers a couple different things for second screen experiences, or what they're trying to do is, you can control certain aspects. I know, like in the original E3 demo video for the Wii U, they had this like throwing star looking game where you would, or like demo. It was a tech demo. I don't know if anything's ever going to come of it, but it looked kind of cool that they were like throwing stars off the touchscreen onto the screen. I thought that would be kind of some cool integration. Do you guys think there's going to be?
that's gimmicky to me.
You think that would be?
I mean, it's like the super scope for the.
Oh yeah.
the
But I just mean,
any
do you think
sort of
there's an offering for that second screen to offer any?
To actually be a controller.
Or
more
change the way you play the game.
I
Let's put
liked
it
your
that
point
way.
with Battlefield, like you're saying that he could control certain things. Like
Yeah.
if you could integrate, a tablet to do that, I think the command structure would be a little bit more fun for certain people that are missing out on strategy games these days.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing I can see, because if you put it through really complex, there have been some PC games that would be really difficult to do on a console just because you don't have a full keyboard there. Right?
Yep.
And I'm not talking about just keyboard, but I'm saying, let's say a proper MechWarrior, right? There are too many controls
Yeah.
to do it that way. If you had your
Steel
controller,
Battalion.
yeah, sure. If you had your controller there and you've got your iPad or your whatever, your tablet or your phone or whatever, and it's got sort of a unique interface to that just does more settings. You could probably do it via radial menus. You could probably, but if it's like instant, like okay, I need this, you just
Like
reach
weapon
and tap.
swapping.
Yeah.
and things like
Weapon
that.
swaps,
Or
maybe.
shield configurations in
Maybe.
X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, Ryan.
Maybe.
I see where you're going with this.
But I think I think it adds more to like, the games that could possibly become from this. When we get back to where somebody doesn't necessarily thinks that this is going to be the end all be all.
Yeah.
I mean, we have this reiterative gaming where we just continue to release Call of Duties after Call of Duties and Battlefields after Battlefields, and people are going to eventually get bored of this cycle.
Yeah.
So they're going to want
I think it's already
something
kind of
that-
getting there.
I think so
Look
too.
at Call
But
of
I
Duty
think
Ghosts
they're
got
going
banned.
to get
Or not banned, the other one. It was kind of critically not lauded at all.
Yeah,
Call of
it
Duty
was-
Ghosts.
and
It
then
was-
but that's going to play into hopefully getting people back to a different genre
Or it's expanding what the console is
Expanding
now.
the experience.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Okay, here's an interesting one for you.
Sure.
Madden has already been like 5 years since people have been like, uncle, enough of the exact same thing
Yeah,
over and
the
over.
same.
with just
So
new rosters. And,
Right.
Yeah.
So their play base now is only the people that are like super fanatical about playing football games, because it's the same thing every time. I mean, the graphics keep getting better, yes, but you could skip 3 or 4 games before you go, okay, there's enough in this one to justify getting back into it.
Yeah, paying $60.
But that's the funny thing is they could have released a game with just an engine that they continue to expand
Iterate.
on.
Yeah.
And then just have it Xbox Store or whatever, and you buy the.
By this season,
That's what they do.
Oh, okay.
But they
they
just charge
just
you more
they,
money.
they pretend it's a new game.
Yeah, they do kind of do that. But, okay, let's say this is an interesting example.
Sure.
With relevancy to second screen, what if your playbook was there? What if your playbook was on your second screen and you're playing against the guy next to you? You know what I mean? Or if they are on the couch next to you. Before, you could see them, like Tech Mobile.
It's like
Which
double
player are
screen.
you going to play? Hey, look away for a second. Okay, I'm going to use the B line.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
some of that stuff could reinvigorate the markets that
Being
have
able
been,
to set your plays on a pad or something and then go like, oh, now I'm ready to go.
even if it's against somebody on the internet, if they're if you're playing against Xbox Live or you're playing against PlayStation Network or something like that, I still think it adds something to have the playbook right there as opposed to everything on the screen.
It's tactile. Well, but the only
it's cool,
issue
too.
is you have to go to the lowest common denominator, right? You have to expect that everybody who's going to play this is going to have the bare minimum, which in this case, if you need an iPad, you got to expect everybody has an iPad, and that's kind of a buy-in that you have to have.
There are ways around it, but yeah, I mean,
The peripheral market, though, shows
Well, like
that...
I'd say most people have phones.
Yeah,
And
but,
everybody these days, not necessarily everybody's
Yes.
going to smartphones, but I would say the majority of people are smartphones.
that's safe to say. That's safe to say.
Why not? I mean, do it like Assassin's Creed. You don't need the peripheral to do that. You
in
can
the game,
just
or you can
add.
play it on your phone. It's
Yep.
the same
Gotcha.
thing.
You get it to a point where it's additive, and then later on will become something that people later on will want to have, and
Right.
think is necessary.
Yeah.
So jumping from the future of gaming control, we're going to jump back a little bit.
No.
And say with current gaming and kind of previous gaming on consoles, is there an expectation set by developers that you already know, the game controller layouts and how to, manipulate thumbsticks and things like that? Nate, what do you feel about, a common expectation from developers that, you will know how to play this game before you play it?
Yeah, I feel like gaming kind of expects you in the way it's delivered now expects you to kind of know these things going in. You know, developers expect you to have a vocabulary, so to speak, of you know, controls, and you know, when something pops up on the screen, you know this is the left stick, or you know, and they show it's usually a layout or something like that. Especially with quick time events, they just kind of throw them in there and expect you to know. I thought of this more in relation to my girlfriend Ashley. She plays, you know, mostly platformers, and she's been very 2D based. So the jump to 3D for her is like, you know, she has no
How to control a 3D
no
camera.
sense. Yeah, the camera really goes, you know.
Really controlling the player and controlling the camera, two different things.
Yep. And and twin sticks. I mean, it really takes somebody, you know, would have to spend some time doing. You know, I grew up with GoldenEye in order to kind of get used to that before it even had the 2-stick shooter. You know, it was 1 stick at that point. But
A really quick note about that. You know, you can with GoldenEye, even back then, you could plug in 2 controllers
and control.
Yep, and you could play 1 person.
Did not know that.
Two Nintendo 64 controllers, and you have 2 triggers and 2 sticks, and it works just like Xbox does, or like PlayStation.
Like you hold them like holy gun style.
Yep.
Cow. I had no idea.
You use the 2 sticks, and you can use 1 to look and 1 to move.
Oh, that's really cool.
It's pretty slick doing it that way. But
Why didn't you tell us this? You know, 10 or 15 years ago.
I was using it to whoop all your asses.
You were cheating, weren't you?
No.
You were getting the body armor. You had it on timer. You knew it. You were playing odd job, so you were hard enough to shoot. Okay. All right. So anyway, yeah. You're like, yeah. Odd job. He was hard to shoot. He was small.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Odd job.
Odd job. Difficult to shoot. Hard. Never mind. Continue on, Nate.
Oh.
I don't mind in the gutter over here.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Well, it wouldn't be
back
a
to
fairly
the-
awesome podcast if
back
it
to the
wasn't
Go
minding
Ram
the gutter.
internet.
The Go Ram internet's here.
He got caught up from earlier.
He did.
It's a little laggy there.
It's a little,
Yeah,
a little slow.
your remote play needs fixed, sir. It does. You need to connect better. Anyway,
Close the tabs.
tangents there.
Yes.
Common vocabulary, as I was saying. So, do you feel like we're kind of we're catered to, right? We all understand this and how to work a twin stick shooter, but how do you teach somebody that? You know, how do you go about explaining that to somebody and making a tutorial for that, right?
But I think it's hard because that's one of those things where it's iterative gaming, where you get to that point where you've got
Because you're used to the D-pad.
yeah, you got the
and then
D-pad.
the
You originally
64
grew up with a
controller.
Nintendo, and you learned how to manipulate with that. Then you moved on to the Super NES, which added a couple buttons up here, and you're like, oh god,
We were the future.
yeah. I got 4 buttons on this side. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, like Pilot Wings was an interesting example. I mean, not that the original Nintendo had the 4-way movement
yeah.
and the 2 buttons. That was it.
That was it.
You know, well, start and select, which didn't do anything inside a game.
Not really.
You know,
Maybe a pause for start.
That was it. But yeah, and then you get to Pilot Wings, and you had to use all the buttons and the
Yep.
and it was like, oh god, flaps, gear,
Flaps, yeah.
ah! And it was like,
Game over.
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. No, they didn't.
So I don't know, but building upon that, and then people wonder all of a sudden why those that didn't grow up doing that or gaming wise can't really get into it, and they get this monstrosity of like the Xbox Duke, and they're like, am I flying? What am I doing with this? Beam me up, go.
They're doing some high
I'm
Duke
gonna
in
have
there.
to say, I don't know what the problem with the Duke was.
Chris has got giant meat hands.
Somebody
He's
was like,
"Oh,
loves
it's
the
fine."
Duke. You go over to a friend's house and they're like, oh, I've got the S controller, and I'm like, okay, let me just play that with.
You're sipping your wine.
Get my pinkies
Can
out.
we
while
go
I'm
into a
playing.
tea party afterwards?
Yeah. Going to a tea party when I'm done here.
Chris would prefer if he pulled full triggers. He was just
Throwing
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I suppose back on topic here.
Yes,
I do
sorry.
think, I do think that it depends how old you are, because if you're growing up now, it's almost like second nature. They get how to do it, and they don't need the tutorials. you
Yeah.
know? Versus, I would
like that.
I would say, yeah, sure. And I would say that if you didn't grow up gaming, right?
Yeah.
Then it becomes difficult to learn all the mechanics, which we're fine because we grew up gaming.
Yeah.
Right. When I say that the really young kids, like 95% of the population on Call of Duty or whatever, because they're all 12-year-olds or whatever that saying is. They have apparently no problem getting a hold of it, and it's not like that game has the like Halo. when you played the original Halo, it was like a 5-minute. It seriously was like a full 5 minutes of here's how you look around. Look up.
Now
look down.
we need to test your suit, Chief. You're like,
Yeah.
sure you do. You need to test my aerobics with controller.
Right. Now, what was interesting though is funny enough, my mom actually started getting into Skyrim.
Oh.
Right. So when she picked it up on Xbox 360, and when she played it, it took her forever to get the controls. So I'd like turn the sensitivity way down so she could get, okay, I can't quite get there fast enough. Okay, then you bump it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's the way you do it, is you start with sensitivity all the way down, and so then they're at the point where they can control it. It's just not fast enough.
Yeah.
Right, and then you start upping the sensitivity. Yeah. You look at the people that are extremely proficient at Twitch shooters, and their sensitivity is jacked all the way up.
Yep.
They can do like an eighth
So they
of
can
a
spin
second,
around.
right?
Yeah.
Eighth of a second spin around. Right, exactly.
You're just like,
what are you doing? You think maybe not having that history of gaming is kind of impacts a little bit the popularity of like phone games, like with the touchscreen interface, because it is so much simpler.
Oh,
that there's
maybe.
not a whole lot that you really have to get.
That's
It's
probably
Angry Birds is touch the screen, move your finger this way, and let go.
Yeah.
Does that kind of impact that a little bit?
I think it's maybe because they have access to it. Since everybody has a phone, everybody's going to have it, and not everybody has a gaming console.
Yeah.
Or chooses to have a gaming console. It's more prevalent, I would say, especially now that we've got 10 years in or whatever for those game consoles. But
It's a self-identity thing, too. Those people that they're like, I'm not a gamer, but I play Angry Birds and Bejeweled and this. And you're like, well, you're a gamer then. Like it comes down to that definition. So some people like say, oh, as soon as I see a twin stick, they're like, I'm out. I don't want to touch that. I need to be able to steer, which is where they got the Wii idea from. There's those grandmas trying to play Mario Kart and they're steering with the controller and following it. They want to be able to do the actual
Battletoads.
Get up.
Exactly. How you used to play with the Nintendo, where the controller might as well have had an accelerometer.
Yeah, you're like
while you were throwing it around,
shaking it,
and getting the tongue in it. Maybe Miley Cyrus is a former Nintendo player.
Maybe
where the tongue comes from.
Twerking the Nintendo.
I was gonna say, if the Nintendo actually had an accelerometer in it, they would have probably pegged me for Major League Baseball because I threw that thing faster than 90 miles an hour.
his Mega Man rage is legendary.
It's like all these stories about the Nintendo Wii controllers being thrown through the screen, and you're like, that's been happening with Nintendo for years.
It just had a cord attached, so it pulled it back to you to hit you in the face, so you could get even more mad.
Tangent rage.
A little bit, but yeah. So basically, developers, even though there's kind of a little bit of a tutorial, they do expect you to kind of know exactly how the controls work. How to throw a grenade, how to switch weapons, how to melee, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Have you ever, kind of tangenting off of that a little bit, have you ever wondered why the controller configurations aren't more configurable? Would that maybe make it easier to get into?
Yes.
Like there's always there's like the default, there's southpaw, there's a couple of minor changes based on what buttons do what, but there's never been, at least on the major consoles, a fully configurable that I'm
map
aware
whatever
of.
you want.
And to be honest,
whatever
there's
button you
no
wanna do.
excuse behind that.
It makes zero sense to me.
In an environment like the Xbox, and especially the Xbox One, where you've got an OS that runs a dashboard or some sort of thing,
It's always running.
always on. Right? There's no reason behind that.
There's an excuse.
It's pure
It's called laziness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called developers don't want to write the code that changes them.
But they don't even need to do
and
that
store it globally.
But they don't need to do that at a game level. If they did it at the OS level, so that when they press A, it interprets it as. I mean, there have been little $20 adapters that used to do this for every other console.
Yep.
You plug it in line to the controller, and then it goes from that to the console, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And this is all the way back to Nintendo. You can switch.
Yeah,
Switch
you can
buttons.
plug SNES in USB, the same way, and it just allows you to configure it.
And switches buttons to turbo or whatever. So
Absolutely.
clearly it can be done that you can swap what these do, and I don't understand why they don't do that. I mean, clearly I understand that if there's degrees of pressing it, it's not a button that's either on or off,
More like throttle style.
Yeah.
if it's a throttle, like you're flying a plane and you need variable amounts of air brake and thrust or whatever. Okay, if I map that to one of the static buttons, X, Y, A, B, I get that if I push that button, I'm getting 100% or nothing.
Yeah, but I mean, it should be easy enough, to say, these few buttons are throttle based, these buttons are push based. So
Well,
if
still
if I don't
make it
like,
work.
yeah, if I don't like pulling a trigger to accelerate, if I'd prefer to push the thumbstick back and forth to accelerate, it's the same basic function. Why?
Yeah,
Why not?
it's an example of developers thinking that they or rather, like you said, lazy, or thinking they know
forcing.
better.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they know
forcing
better
somebody to do
about
that.
how to play the game. But granted, they have people that test it, and
It just switches things. Like you're used to a game and you're used to a menu system, but then you hit escape or something to get out of a menu, and it doesn't. It pauses. We're playing Dead Space 3, and it pauses the game if you hit escape.
instead of hitting tab to
You
close
have to
out
hit
your
tab
inventory.
to close out the inventory screen. And for the first 10 minutes of the game, Nate and I are pausing the game at every
Pauses
2
it
seconds
for both
because
of
it
us over
pauses
the
it for
internet,
both-
and it's like blip, blip, blip. And we're like, God,
We're like, God. So
can't
each
get out
time
of
we
it.
hit
Go
it,
ram
we're
inventory
like,
again.
I'm sorry. Click. Sorry. Click. Just going around all of a
Just
sudden.
trying to get out of my
You're like,
inventory.
But here's the worst part, is that his escape and my escape will cancel each other's escapes.
Oh,
So if I legitimately want to go and change my controls, it escapes the whole thing, and he's like, all right, back into it. And I don't even get a chance to switch control, and he's all like...
That's trolling you. That's what I do.
But yeah, it is weird that it doesn't exist, because it would be like there are games you jump between, especially first-person shooters. Like Gears of War layout is slightly different than Halo's layout, which is slightly different than Half-Life 2's layout. If you could make them all the same, there is a market for this where I want every time I hit, the trigger, it fires. This trigger throws a grenade.
yeah.
This trigger melees. This trigger,
jumps.
jumps. Yeah.
Click in the right stick, it crouches,
Yeah.
as opposed to hit B to crouch. What the hell?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any
B's
sense.
my melee!
Yeah,
Or whatever.
Melee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
X reload.
So, jumping back to, I guess it's hard to call it next generation now because it's current gen.
it's current gen,
I still want
yeah.
to call it next generation, but it's current gen. One of the kind of interesting things, it's next generation.
Star Trek Picard.
Oh man,
Xbox engage.
Xbox Engage. You should do that and see what happens.
You should.
That is a command in Battlefield 4. You can do engage.
Oh, nice.
You
Can you do it as Picard?
It will probably understand it.
Xbox engage.
Engage.
I'll record it and I'll send it to you.
Right, and then all the units are like, I didn't catch that. I didn't get it.
That was actually Captain Picard's favorite handheld system as well. Engage.
Engage. No one liked that. Wow.
Oh, Picard
You're
jokes.
fired, Nate.
Picard jokes.
Just get out.
I'm sorry.
Nokia?
A-game material is not here.
Yeah, the Nokia Engage was like the black and white,
That's
like
horrible.
Yeah, I
It was
remember seeing
horrible.
that thing.
Game Boy's older stupid brother.
Just complete wrong. Just-
Anyway,
It was so Gumboy.
Game Boy. So, current generation consoles now have a feature that has existed in the past, but required, separate hardware with the game streaming now. The Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 both have built-in game recorders that allow you to record a chunk of, the last 15 minutes or the last certain period of time that you've been playing, and edit it the way you want it and upload it to share with everybody. In the past, you had to have a separate capture card. You could do it, but you had to have a whole nother setup to record it and encode it and upload it separately from the actual console. But this is one of the new features that the current generation of gaming consoles now has by default. So do you think this is going to introduce, there have been a couple of stories now with people doing horrible things with their streaming abilities and the various cameras.
Like their wife and their husband just showing her off. That one.
That's just, but do you think this is going to open up a new...
Meanwhile, on the Go Ram.
Never alleviated or never underestimate the ability for somebody to
exploit
or to turn something into porn. It will happen.
Rule 34.
Yeah,
Next, now coming to PS4 and Xbox One, chat roulette.
Oh no. Oh,
Dick. Oh, look. Somebody I can talk to. Oh, no, that's just a vagina. I'm sorry.
Oh, look, he's holding a controller. Oh, he's tossing the controller. Oh, my god. Next.
That's not a controller.
Yeah.
But do you think this new ability to share, do a much better job of sharing your gaming experience, both awesome things that happen and just random weird stuff that ever happens on your console? Do you think that's going to change the way people play a game? Are they going to care that they're playing the game properly, or they're going to think a little bit more about, well, this cool thing just happened, I should record that and post it, as opposed to before where you're like, oh, that was awesome, I wish I'd been recording it.
Yeah, I think
I blame Facebook.
Yeah.
Blame Facebook for...
Well, I think that it's something now where people are more prevalent to sharing stuff. You've got Vine, you can record like 6 seconds of something and upload it or whatever. So people are now really into sharing things that are happening in their lives and can capture it now in a daily scenario with smartphones that have crazy good cameras and video capability in their pocket that they can quickly pull out and capture whatever's going on. So gamers are enjoying that now too, because they can do crazy things like knife a whole bunch of people in Battlefield 4 and show off their skill sets. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. I think that it's going to be... I don't think it'll change the way people play the game. I mean, it might for some people, because attention begets different action.
I think it might help with people who maybe want to get better at something and they're watching maybe some of the major types play.
Maybe.
Barrier to entry too, right?
But I do think, like, when you were back, like, in the Halo 1 days or whatever, and you had that perfect rocket that took out, 6 people.
You
and
wished it over.
You're like, oh, totally owned you guys.
Yeah. And you live for those moments too.
Right. And then you see your other friends, and you're like trying to describe this, and they're like,
yeah, okay.
And you're like, I guess you had to be there.
Yeah.
Like all those moments where you're like, I guess you had to be there, or whatever. That's not the case anymore. A lot of people are recording stuff and sharing it, and I think some of those things are already being captured. So like if you Battlefield 4, if you level up, like in multiplayer, if you rank up, it'll automatically record a clip for you. You don't have to share that with everybody, but it'll automatically record the clip of whatever it was you did that scored you enough points to rank you up.
Interesting.
That's cool.
Nice.
In Forza 4, it will automatically record if you have a horrendous wreck that makes you... Yes, it is hilarious.
You filled your hard drive?
No.
No, he switched to the wheel. He's not playing controller anymore.
Yes.
How do you like that wheel, by the way? I'm sorry, a tangent.
I really like it. I did a stream on how good the setup was.
See, it goes with streaming.
I do like it, but my streaming is more not just, hey, follow Ryan. It was more for the Formula Forza stuff. Gotcha. But anyway, I do think that the streaming stuff, but this is one thing I was saying before, is that part of this next gen, the allure isn't just graphics, right?
Yeah.
And when people go, like Battlefield 4, some people were saying they might have been able to do this on 360. That might be true for Battlefield 4. They might have been able to do that on 360 and look almost the same. I mean, I know it is out on 360 as well, but
I hear it looks like ass on 360.
I don't know. But the graphics itself in Battlefield 4, it does look pretty good, but there are parts where I'm like, could have been 360. But it's all the integration stuff that I think you're getting with these next games that really helps set it apart. And it's not just the game DVR, because I think some of these features are going to get even better than they are right now. Xbox One sort of lags a little bit behind the PS4 because the Xbox One does 5 minutes max.
I did not know that.
Yeah, max. So if you say, if you're just playing a game, something awesome happens, it doesn't pause or anything, but if you say Xbox record that, Kinect will hear it, record the clip for you, automatically archive it, and then later you can go back and clip, edit it, whatever you want. Or you can say Xbox Snap Game DVR, and it'll snap in like 20% of your screen will be the DVR controls, and you can tell it what you want to, like, record the next 5 minutes, or start recording now, or record up to 5 minutes ago if you want to do that. If you do Xbox record that, I believe it's like 30 seconds, something like that. So if it's just that one little thing. But if it was like good enough that you need the whole 5 minutes, like I think I did I have already shared my battle on Assassin's Creed 4 where I took over another ship.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I did that via the game DVR. And I edited. I used the Xbox One editor to clip that. And you can actually take several clips and make sort of a montage and and do your transitions and everything. And that's really cool stuff.
That's
you don't
cool.
Yeah, check that out on
necessarily-
our Facebook, by the way. We've
Yeah,
got
it
that
is.
posted on there.
Yeah. If you don't have, I mean, video editing is expensive, really. I mean, if you look at what you have to get, a capture card, previously a capture card and editing software, if you wanted anything better than Windows Movie Maker,
Yeah.
you're paying quite a bit. Yeah, it is. It
It's
is.
not bad.
It-
Windows Movie Maker's okay now.
It's like
but
paint. I'm really good with paint.
Yeah.
I can make some memes with paint.
Meme
Trust
MS
me.
Paint memes.
The
That's
skills
me too.
with meme paint at work,
Meme paint.
legendary.
Yes.
It's interesting that we were talking about sharing. I feel like this is a feature that I wouldn't have expected Microsoft and Sony, like if when PS4 was announced, before they said anything about sharing or any of that stuff. It's a feature that it's like I didn't know I wanted. But now that I'm hearing that, about people sharing, I'm like, this is actually kind of cool. I'm like, I'd want to watch you on Twitch TV, playing Forza or whatever. It's just something you never really think about beforehand. It's just interesting that they had this sort of an idea.
And for the people that are going to get, when we talk about game DVR is one thing, and real quick before I skip over that, I did say that the Xbox One had 5-minute game capture. PS4 can go back up to 15 minutes, so 3 times that length. And my understanding, and I could be proven correct or just corrected on the internet or whatever, but my understanding is that it will just record indefinitely, basically until your hard drive starts filling up to a critical level. So
Right.
that is pretty interesting stuff.
Can you stream it via Twitch TV, like
Is that for both?
permanently? Like, can you live stream? I think you can live stream on PS4.
You can
As well.
live stream on PS4 now
Yeah.
via Twitch,
Yeah.
and you cannot do that via Xbox One yet.
Really?
Yeah, the understanding is that January they're supposed to be.
I don't think it was ready yet. That's
Yeah,
probably
well,
why.
I think it actually was ready. I think they saw the PlayStation 4 one. The PlayStation 4 one is slick. It is really good.
Yeah.
So
Maybe it was ready, but it wasn't very intuitive.
Yeah.
yeah, I think they didn't have as many features as the PlayStation 4.
So they're trying
one.
to catch up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because I think if they would have.
competition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's good
awesome.
for us.
No, that's good.
The PlayStation 4 one is interesting because you get your game view, and then when you're streaming, it like pops up a little chat log. So you don't have to have a computer up next to
Yeah.
you showing you the chat
That's
log.
cool.
And if you're a regular streamer, if you're streaming, it does change the way you play. Or at least if it's a channel worth watching streaming. Because if it's just somebody playing and not interacting with the people that are watching, you tend to get a very static thing, and you're like, oh wait, go over there, or whatever. And if they're just not even watching the chat feed, you get a little bit disappointed, and you might go to another one that they are watching that. So the really good streamers out there will watch that chat feed and sort of interact with them, try and answer whatever questions, whatnot. I think that will change how people play games.
Yeah.
If that's what they're into.
Yeah, it's like the guy on the couch, right? It's it's almost like they're accomplishing what, we've had in the living room in the past, where if everybody's watching you play the game, they'll say, oh, do this, oh, do that. It's over the internet now. It's
Yeah.
like they're being right in the room with you. It's
Right.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Gotta say.
And you can stream indefinitely on PS4. It basically just keep going. Wow. Because it's not recording it locally when you
Yeah,
stream.
it's all upload straight to Twitch. How's the fidelity on that? Do you know? I don't remember if it's 720 or not.
I don't
or-
know what it scales to. I know I still do my streaming through a capture device.
Right.
And it is, you got to have pretty robust internet connection to be able to do that and play an online game.
Yeah.
But if you can do it, like mine,
your upload.
yeah, mine is doing just a little bit below 720. I mean, it's like a 10 megabit stream or something like that. So it's a pretty high.
Oh, that's quite a chunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have 35, don't you?
yeah,
Yeah. See, that works.
35
out.
up and 35 down.
That's not bad.
Nice. So, real quick question just to finish this up. Do you think this will change the way support is done? That if you're having a defect in the game, you can now record, like Assassin's Creed had the infinite enemy spawn, where it
that's
would
a-
just spawn.
Nailed it.
That's a great idea, actually. I didn't even think about that.
Do you think it will change the way, people communicate with the developer and they say, hey, this is a problem. I have video of it right here. There you
Absolutely. I think
Wow,
that's
yeah.
that. I mean, in the past, you could record it on your phone, and people have,
Right,
have shown
you
glitches
get,
on
you
YouTube.
get,
Yeah.
pictures of people, taking a picture of their phone or their TV while they're playing it and seeing the glitch happen. But now you can actually see live gameplay footage of the glitch.
I think actually YouTube has done that in general because people can't hide it anymore. And the other thing I heard about, and this is related to the wife husband little porn thing we were talking about earlier with the streaming, you don't have control of that data, right? That you put out there. So it's not like it's a service that's being offered. So they can take that video down if they want. If it looks like bad press to them, they could technically kill your video of a glitch or whatever.
They can also ban your ability to use that service going forward. Like Twitch has an end user license agreement that says that if you're not streaming gameplay or you can have discussion. Like I believe what we're doing would be okay on Twitch because it is game related. So like game commentary, that sort of thing is okay, but it has to be related to games. Like you can't just have
you watching a movie or something.
yes, you cannot do that. They will ban your account for it.
Oh, interesting.
So it is
Because it's like showing off the movie. You're essentially, you know what I mean,
Distributing
distributing the movie.
yeah.
Well, and it's not their target audience. So I mean, even if you're doing something mundane like watching a TV show or cooking something, that's not who they serve. They're serving gamers. So
Right. It's not YouTube.
They don't want you to have to wade through Grandma Jenkins.
I was gonna say there goes Ryan's cooking show.
It's going to take one person to accidentally forget that they were streaming at one point and forget to turn it off.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
they go and they're flipping through the channels and they're just kind of chilling, and then their account gets banned and they freak out.
It can happen. Yeah. Or they're doing something they shouldn't.
Could be. Well, since we've reached the last segment of the show, our last topic is actually going to be the current state of TV show finales and how they seem to have kind of not been as good. They've kind of been built up and then...
I believe that's the greatest explanation I've ever held.
Would you care
Ever
to
felt.
expand upon and explain how TV finales have
Let's
crashed
preface this
fans
with
recently?
spoilers. Like, if
Well,
you're listening
yes.
to the podcast now and you don't want to have any of these TV shows, and we'll list this in the
Yeah,
Be
we'll throw
right
this up for
here,
YouTube
right
and we'll
Here.
yeah.
figure out where you need to jump to skip this whole section so you can
Well,
listen
actually,
to the
this
awesome
is
ending.
This is the last one.
yeah.
So
Yeah, but I mean, we're hilarious at the end.
We
Yeah,
should
we are.
Sign off
make
at
sure
the ending. Everybody's got to hit the sign off.
you got to hit the side off.
But we'll
It's a good
let
sign
everybody
off.
we'll let everybody know. We're about to spoil the hell out of everything. So
Yes.
heads up,
right.
you've been warned.
Yes, podcast we'll put warnings in the iTunes as well.
Okay, so to preface, we started having a conversation at a party, and one of the comments that I brought up is that the TV shows, I believe, have had some of them have taken off and they've been really good, really I can't talk. Well written, yes. Well written TV shows, right? And they get into this groove, and you're like, you just can't not watch the next episode. You have to continue watching.
Pavlovian response.
Yeah,
clicking.
and you're just click. And Netflix is terrible because you just next, and you're like, what happened? Why is it Sunday?
They have developed time travel.
Yes, into the future. We can't go back yet. So these TV shows really good. I enjoy them, and then it's time to cut that thread, and you just can't.
Come up with an acceptable.
Yeah, and I know that there's probably a slew of reasons why it's hard to do that, especially as a writer of that show or something. But some shows seem to have gotten it right. But I'll list a couple examples of which ones I think have totally and abysmally failed. Lost is one of them. Lost, it was just one of those shows where you got to this point and it plateaued, and then it just didn't make any sense. They continued to answer questions with more questions. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the show, it was just...
It was Deus Ex Machina.
Bleh.
It was Deus Ex
was
Machina. And they just brought this... Well, kind of.
It was writer vomit.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, with spirit.
Yeah. Well, one of the issues with Lost's ending was
what?
from the beginning they said, we're not going to end it this way. We're not going to end it this way. We're not going to end it this way.
And then they ended
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They said they would answer everything.
And I've seen an interview with Lindelof where he kind of explains, the whole point of the last season and how it, kind of made sense. But yeah, it didn't.
It's mystical, and as Stoughton, who's not here, would point out, he said part of the only reason you can accept loss is to accept that just things are magic. There was magic. That's really the explanation.
Yeah,
is
there were just too many dangling things.
There really was. That you have to expect
up.
that crazy weird things happen, like numbers and all these things. I can't even remember the specifics.
Dude,
Actually, there were so many details and questions at this point that I don't even remember.
By like season 4 or 5 years, it's like, but why were there bears?
there were bears.
Polar bears.
Polar bears. Yeah.
First up, what?
Another. I'll mention it. It's Dexter. It was one of those endings where you're just like, and it was slightly okay-ish, but then it didn't explain anything after. And I'll leave it at that because I don't want to spoil it directly for Ryan.
Oh, I'll spoil it for Ryan. You know what? In that ending, they were doing this and this, and there was cutting and all this kind of. It's going on.
Holy cow.
And that's why ice cream has no bones, guys. That's what Dexter told me.
There's no point in me even watching it anymore.
Dude, I'm sorry.
How did they even get there?
I'm out. I'm gone.
Ejection. That was the eject button out.
Yeah,
Pull the parachute.
I'm gone. I got nothing now.
Oh, okay.
Punch it.
Okay, so I got one on this, and
Okay.
I tend to agree with you that
Okay.
I'm sorry. Did you have more on this before I interject with my?
Well, not with that one. I was going to name another show, but it's
Go for it.
No, go ahead.
Sopranos.
Oh.
It was just like all of a sudden, what? And I guess maybe that was like the easiest way to do it, but I think that they could have done it better.
Now, there's actually some debate here.
Ooh.
There's some debate at the end, not just between us, but debate amongst the internet as to what the ending meant in Sopranos. We are going to spoil the crap out of this, so if you are in the middle of Sopranos or intend to watch it, do you guys either...
Go ahead.
Okay.
Just spoil away.
It's really good. You should watch
Yeah, but that's
It is-
spoil away.
It is really good. Okay, so
It's
they
not gonna
go
be
through
anything.
the seasons, and there's always an element of hits and dodging the hit, and major characters getting taken out and whatnot, either hauled off to prison or whatever. But the very last one, they hype up you can tell they're building to what appears to be a happy ending, and they're all in a diner. The Soprano family, the immediate
whole family is
right. So the head of mafia is there, his wife and his 2 kids, and they're just having like onion rings in this diner or whatever, and it's a very sequenced thing. And some people, when it ends, the end of the show, it just goes like
It's just
Tony's view, the mafia head. It goes Tony's view, and then like it shows like a loved one coming in the door, and then Tony's view, and then another loved one coming in the door, and then Tony's view, and then something else in the diner. So it was very like it's him. It's you're seeing what he sees.
Scene by shot, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the very last one is it just goes black.
Yep.
When it's supposed to go back to Tony's view, just black. And it leaves it there for about the length that it would have stayed on his shot. So some people think, okay, that's the ending. Happy ending. They left it in the diner and all's well, and they ended the show happy. And the interpretation is there
The
that
black is because he got shot.
the black
He's
is
dead.
because he got shot. Now, in the diner scene, he sees somebody walk in, and he's like looking at the guy, and the guy goes into the bathroom, and he just, whatever. And it continues on, and it's showing his family arrive, and he orders some, food or whatever. And then he glances over, and the guy comes back out of the bathroom and gets a seat. And another time he glances over, and it's on Tony's view. He's like looking at the guy, and he's at the bar, and the guy is staring directly at him. And then it's like 2 scenes later that it's just black.
Oh.
So
it's,
I don't know how you can interpret that any different than he got shot.
Yeah.
To me. Some people think it was happy ending. How can you leave it that way? How did you interpret it?
I have to think about it because it's been like 7 or...
Well, this was your example that Sopranos ending sucked.
I thought it sucked originally when I saw it. So
what did you think? Did you
I
think...
think maybe that at that point I thought it was just, that they cut it. Like it was just done. Like that was it.
And see, I think it was much more in-depth than that. Because when I saw it, I was like, holy crap, they ended it with him getting shot.
Interesting.
So I loved it, personally. I think, how else can you end it?
It's
you
true.
can't just go, yeah.
Yeah.
They
It's
continue
not
on.
it's not a happy story,
No, it's
most
not
of,
really.
and that's part of the reason I think a lot of these modern TV
Breaking
shows
Bad.
and Breaking Bad, and these are not series. Most of them are very dramatic, and there's usually
Dark.
gray area and
Right.
dark characters and all this. And so to have a happy ending all the time, I think we've seen that a lot.
That's what everybody expects is kind of a happy ending, and you can't have, bad thing, bad thing, bad thing, bad thing, bad thing, happy ending.
Yeah.
The other thing, it's along the same vein, but maybe not. The finale itself was terrible, but I'm going to say Heroes.
Ugh.
So Heroes started off with such a monumental story that
funny.
they almost couldn't continue.
Right.
Well, they certainly couldn't continue with the writer's strike, but
Right, the writer's strike really killed it, but I think the issue... Well, go ahead and finish.
Did you finish it?
Yeah.
'Cause I'll be honest, didn't finish it.
really...
Yeah, I didn't either.
I got to the guy with
The fourth
with the
season
chick
was...
with the like
the
tattoo.
music
she had the
ability.
tattoo on her back or whatever, and it was
Oh,
like
and
a
the
change,
ink,
and stuff.
I think it was
And I
season
got
three.
the synesthesia power with the music and the
Yeah.
controlling people. Yeah, that whole
about
season
half
was kinda
through
crap.
that season, and then I was just done.
Yeah, so
Didn't make any sense.
the
Couldn't keep me going.
first season was fantastic.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then the second season had potential, and then it just fell off a cliff. Because so the first season had a little bit of Superman syndrome, where they built up a character that you weren't even stressed about it because he had every ability known to man.
Yep.
And his enemy had almost
The potential for every ability known to man.
right.
Yeah.
But what didn't have the first season was about him trying to get the ability to become immortal, right? And so they stopped that from happening. I mean, that was sort of the main thing they were going for, and the side plot was the trying to stop the end of the world.
Right.
But beyond that, it was, I don't know, it was just terrible writing after terrible writing. I don't think they knew how to continue that, because what they did to fix the season 2, maybe the first 3 episodes were still just as well written
That was probably all they had set up, I think,
before the writer's strike.
before the strike hit. And
Well,
then
they-
they cleaned that season out quickly.
What they
ended
did,
it.
They did something to him that they basically took away all of his powers and basically said now he can only have one.
The third season they completely stripped him of his powers, and then when he came back from the fourth season, he could have one power at a time, but there was kind of this gray area.
Yeah, it was really odd.
That show could have been better if they'd stuck to Cornell's vision or whatever.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say. Was each season is
New characters.
Totally new characters, new people,
or
new
even
powers.
time, or even different time periods would be better.
Well, that's what I mean. They could have gone all kinds
Revolutionary
of different ways.
War or something.
Yeah.
Like that. I think that's what his original vision
And
was.
they sort of touched on some of that in season 2.
Yeah.
With
Hero.
Hero going back. Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
that's my example of they write some really good ones. They start it, they get you hooked. Because we're not even talking about the shows that were just poorly written from the beginning. It was a show that got you hooked.
Yeah, it
And
was.
then the finale just could not live up, or where they took it could not live up to what they had built.
Yeah.
So yeah, to me, Heroes falls into that category, and it's so disappointing because it was such a good show.
This is one of those things where I think, with where we're headed now, and some of the previous topics we've discussed here on this podcast, is that with Netflix producing their own shows and able to control and add their set number of how many seasons a show is going to have or something like that, and at least adding to it so that the writers aren't necessarily staled out or trying to just kind of give filler episodes just to keep going. And you'll stop some of that nonsense where they just don't know where to take it because of either a writer's strike or something.
Yep. They've done that. You've noticed they've cut down the season. It used to be like 26
They do, like,
episodes,
half seasons.
and now it's like 13 episodes.
Yeah.
But
Like
they cut
Walking-
out all those
Walking
bullshit
Dead.
fillers.
Walking
Which
Dead
is-
had the mid-season finale.
Yeah.
a couple
And I'm
weeks
okay
ago,
with
and-
that. I'm okay with 13 solid, because that's what you're going to get anyway when you watch a serialized show in the old days. And even then, you may not even get 13 actual storyline episodes. It's like
Story-driven.
I'll say
Monster of the
I'm
Week.
impressed with 24. It's 24 episodes.
Yeah.
And you're pretty much jam-packed with...
like I said.
I mean, it doesn't have enough room...
For filler.
Right.
It's basically an hour of time on the clock every time. Each episode.
And they hold themselves accountable. They show you the hour.
And it shows, and it's based on even though they have fillers with commercials and stuff that eat up some of that time.
Yeah, when you come back, it's 3 minutes or whatever passed.
Yep.
Yeah. I think some of the short seasons, maybe I'm pulling this out of my ass, a lot of British shows, which U.S. shows kind of tend to borrow from a little bit, are a half dozen episodes, and that's the season, and that's it. They're 6 to 8 to 9 episodes long, and that's the season. And so I think you get here we've kind of taken it and we've said, okay, well shorter seasons are great. So you get a pre-Christmas season and a post-Christmas season without us having to try and fill 24 episodes worth of
they do quarters. They'll do quarters. Yeah, that's how the UK shows mostly work, is they do quarters. So they'll, they could have 2 seasons inside the same year, as opposed to the 2013 season, which is how a lot of U.S. shows work. A season
they
is
rotate around summer, so it starts at the end of summer and goes until
right or
spring
whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There have been some isolated instances of good finales, but man, it is certainly far and few between now. But I don't know that we've seen some fantastic writing. Like if we go back. This has been some of the most dynamic period of TV shows we've seen.
Yeah,
It's true.
Serialized. Not serialized, but the other way. Like a whole written story. We've always had serialized in the past.
TV shows are better than movies, I think.
Yeah.
But they just don't know how to give a good movie ending.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you walk out and you're just like, yeah. I just don't feel that. And I mean on not just, in between seasons, but I'm talking about just, the final bookend to close it out.
Right. You think maybe the TV format hurts it a little bit in that with a movie you're telling a story across 2.5 hours.
Right.
So you've got setup, action, ending.
Right.
Where with a TV series you have
Act 1, 2, and 3 each episode.
Yeah.
Well, even you kind of have action in the episode, but as part of the season or the series run, you have half of the first season is setup, and then everything in the middle is action and more setup and action and more setup, and then you've got an episode to tie everything together. Whereas instead of focusing on making an entire finale season, they're focused on we got to wrap everything up in the last two episodes.
Favorite things that kind of tied that together was the season 1 ending of was it Stargate Atlantis.
Oh, okay.
Where it was so you had 2 episodes that were tied together, and then this first episode of season 2.
It was like a 3-parter.
It was a 3-parter, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it was really good.
But it was you were on the edge of your seat at the end of the second one. You were like, I want to finish it.
Yeah.
And you had to wait, and that was cool. But they spent 2 episodes trying to tell that final battle, and they got it, but they left it cliffhangery so that the next season would be started.
Is that also kind of a side effect of what we've seen in the past with TV, where because they're beholden to the investors and people upstairs that dictate whether or not this season will continue on in the next season, that they're scared of wrapping something up, or they have to have a
Before it's
cliffhanger
time.
Yeah.
to get it. So you end up with shows like Farscape, where in the last episode, at the end of the episode, he gets obliterated into a bunch of little pieces, and that's it. They canceled the series after that.
Yeah.
Spoiler, Farscape.
Yeah.
Well, it's a Farscape spoiler, but nice enough they actually came back and made a movie.
Yeah, the
Peacekeeper
movie.
I didn't know
Wars.
you'd seen it.
Yeah, that wraps
It's
up.
really good.
It's like a 2-hour movie that pretty much kind of condenses what the last season would have been.
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
that
that was part of where I was going to say the abysmal endings, and maybe it started with that. But I feel like a lot of these series that even like Dexter, for instance, was planned to end this season. Like the writers wanted to end it, but I was not thrilled with the ending.
I wasn't either.
and maybe that's. Go ahead.
Well, okay, so Spartacus. Have you guys seen Spartacus?
Yes.
And I'm not going to get into exactly what happened. It's not going to be spoiler.
I think
But
I've seen 5 or 6 episodes.
I've
but
seen-
I've not
I've
seen.
I've
the
seen
show.
had a
I've seen about
defined-
20 minutes of one episode. That was the best 20 minutes of TV
Boobies and blood.
Yes. It may have been on the Go Ram internet.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Go Ram YouTube.
Well, it was prescribed to end at this point because they at least had to somewhat adhere to historical accounts of right. So I think that was actually a pretty decent ending. I mean, you didn't
I've heard
want it.
Staunton say the same thing.
You didn't want it to end, but it ended at a point that it could continue, and it was a fitting end, I'll say. But it's kind of the rarity that one ended that way. And I think you've got a point with the problem in TV is that to do it right, you would have to dedicate sort of the last, I don't know, 3 episodes really of a TV series to sort of wrap up the finale.
You see that with
And you
movies
need to
today.
plan it.
Oh yeah, Harry Potter even. Look at that. It took 2 books and 3 movies
Yep.
just to do the ending.
Well, hey, I'll even challenge it to Marvel movies. You've got all of this character development and build-up on each separate one, and then you come together with this ridiculously awesome movie that everybody loves, and it's because you've got introductions already worked out.
Right.
Yeah.
You've
Because
got
you
nothing
didn't have
but
to
you can
spend-
have 90 minutes of pure unadulterated Marvel action.
Essentially,
Yeah.
Because you already know all
Because
the characters. There's
exactly.
no
Yeah.
steps necessary other than
nothing necessary, and that's why I was
So you
thinking.
can spend enough time
that's what I was
wrapping
thinking.
it up.
Adventures is one of those where I don't think you could ever really screw up. I mean, you could per se, but
You have Joss Whedon.
it would
you
have
have all of
been
the
very
Marvel. It's really
difficult
hard
to
to
I
screw
think
that up.
It's possible, but it would have taken a lot of work.
Yeah.
yeah.
You're right. It seems like this has been happening. You mentioned Farscape. There was I'm trying to think if there's ever been a TV show I can think of that's had a great ending in the last 10 years. Can you even think of one off the top of your head that's
I
ended?
have kids, so
Same.
SpongeBob ending was season.
Saint Elsewhere.
That's the best ending ever. Snow Globe.
What?
You've never seen Saint
No.
Ending Elsewhere?
No.
Never Saint Elsewhere ending?
No.
Yeah, it turns out the whole series was in the mind of a autistic kid.
Staring into a snow globe.
Oh
Yeah.
my God! Really?
That's every time you see a series that ends with the, this person
This was
made
in
it
a
all
dream,
up.
yeah.
It's that, and then it's the Newhart ending where he wakes up from a dream from a previous series, and the whole second series was just him dreaming from this previous series.
Oh yeah, jeez. That's
God.
such a writer's.
Wait, how do we get him from point A to point B?
Deus
Oh,
Ex
I know.
Machina.
It was a dream.
It's at the time it was very innovative because nobody had really done that before, and I think if you can come up with something innovative that doesn't totally wrap it up but kind of throws it off real fast, then you can get away with it. But now no, you can't pull that off.
I was gonna say, I think isn't that what Family Guy was making fun of, where they woke up and I can't remember who it was. It was after the apocalypse, and
Yeah.
they were like, Stewie. There was an army of
with,
Stewies, and there was
with Patrick Duffy.
Yeah, Patrick Duffy.
It was
Was-
like
what were
one
they
of the-
spoofing? I can't remember. It was
Was
like
it Dallas maybe?
Yeah, it
Something
might have
like that?
been. It was.
But yeah, there was like the Breaking Bad ending. There was actually a spoof ending that Sony pulled down. That was them waking up next to his wife from Malcolm in the Middle, and Breaking Bad was him
Yeah.
dreaming.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was good. It was really
that's
good.
really
Yeah.
good.
It was good.
Man.
So,
Yeah. I don't-
good stuff. All right, well, we'll go ahead and wrap this episode up with hopefully not a terrible ending, but no guarantees. I mean, it's TV. Well, it's not TV. It's YouTube. So we're good. Not TV. We don't have to answer to anybody. We're free to do what we want. I'm getting naked. No, we're gonna close this out. So Nate's gonna get naked.
Whoa.
That's probably make everybody a lot happier.
I bet we
than
better
naked.
That's on our Go Ram YouTube.
Go Ram.
Yeah, I was gonna say we
Yes,
better take
check
this
that
to
out.
black like the Sopranos ending. Just, you look at
Yes.
me, look back,
Let's
look back, and now
look.
naked, and then it's on.
Nate's shirt's coming off.
Oh my.
Be sure to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/fairlyawesomepodcast. Follow us on Twitter at FAPcast. Click the subscribe button that you'll see at the end of this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can check out all the other hilarious and it's pretty much all hilarious stuff that we post up. Nothing's terrible, so you should just watch all of it
All of it.
repeatedly.
All
And then
day.
click the little likes anytime you see them. And
There's a bonus score.
there's a bonus score.
Yeah.
Yeah, for liking all.
Yeah, you get bonus internet points for liking all the videos.
We'll send you a Go
50
Ram
Go Ram
internet.
And so if you managed to make it through this entire episode and not looked at me and thought, hey, Kool-Aid, give yourself a thumbs up.
Oh yeah!
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah!
Oh no.
Oh, no. All right, see ya.
Yep.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Okay,
All
I'm
right.
good. Everybody got phones good?
Yeah. Oh.
Just on just vibrate or silent.
It's
or
on
whatever. I don't
vibrate,
care
I
if it's on
turn it.
vibrate. If you have to
I
get
kind of do.
Mine's on cheap
Si-
thrills mode.
yeah.
Mine's on silent.
Wait. Party mode.
Just every 5 minutes. Ryan's like comes back up. His
With the
eyes are all
Joker look.
dilated. He's like, yeah.
And, like intermission, it comes back, and I'm like, keep texting me.
Google. All right.
Full
Circle. Yes. All right. Here we go.
Jesus Christ!
I told you.
All right. Here we go.
Told you.
Dude, I gotta sit in this.